On July 11th, 2020, Amtrak Productions and I went out to the now-defunct Auto 14 Signals in Wellesley, Massachusetts to see a westbound empty welded rail train, which I saw going eastbound in the last rare trains on the Worcester line video. This train is bound for Framingham, where the cars will be taken to points west by CSX. A few hours after the westbound rail extra passed, the eastbound came back. This train ended up going further west after dropping the empties in Framingham, as there were empty flat cars in North Grafton which were previously being used for the Grafton and Upton expansion to Milford. The next day, as per usual, 1509 and 1510 had sandwich sets. Since 1062 was previously already facing east from the rail train, MBTA threw it on the sandwich set for the weekend. Here's 1510 with 1062 leading east. After a weekend of no train service, a couple of friends and I decided to go to Wellesley Hills to get MBTA 1507 and Amtrak 449. Here's 1507 with one of MBTA's few MP36s. A few minutes later, 449 passed with a regular consist. On Friday of that week, I went out for the sandwich set again. This sandwich set had GP40 MC number 1119. They were running about 10 minutes late due to the GP40 having a loose plow and scraping the platform in Natick. The engineer had to get out and assess the damage. Luckily, the damage was minimal, but 1119 was later swapped for an HSP so he could get his plow replaced. On June 22nd, MBTA resumed regular weekday service schedules on all lines, but overnight, the track work between milepost 11 and 21 went south, and all rail service between Auburndale and Framingham had to be bussed. This change unexpectedly lasted 3 weeks instead of the original 1 day that was expected. During those times, MBTA ran double drafts at restricted speed for 10 miles to switch out the sets in Worcester. Here's the first train through Wellesley for 5 days, a double draft bound for Worcester. Finally, after weeks of no service in Wellesley, here's inbound 7508 with an MBB cab car, which will soon be rebuilt into a coach. 1500 series cab cars are a dying breed on the MBTA, and it's always pretty nice to see them. After a few hours of waiting, the train I originally went down to the square for passed. This is MBTA's geometry train used for track inspection. A few times a year, MBTA borrows Amtrak's corridor clipper to inspect the tracks, and here it is testing the Worcester line. Here it is going west at track speed. They almost knocked over my tripod because I rarely bring down my full-size tripod when I bike down to the square. This was filmed with my light tripod that is prone to being knocked over by fast trains. Due to a temporary speed restriction, which can be seen by the small signs installed right next to the tracks. There's a temporary track joint which was very large, restricting trains down to 15 miles per hour. Later in the day, I went down to see the first Amtrak train to pass through Wellesley for a few weeks. This is 448 with the Phase 3 Heritage Unit number 145 and the Phase 3 New River Viewliner Sleeper, meeting with MBTA 529. Two days later, I got word that F40PH-3C number 1061 was testing on trains 513 and 518. Here's 518 with a doubleheader.
Che presto